DeMaio with Recchi and Graves, and this championship game is underway. Mahayan back to Sorokin in his own zone. The Canadian team in this game, as we said, must play aggressively, but they must try and avoid that penalty box because the Soviets have an outstanding power play. Dumped out of the zone by Team Canada, and going back after it is Mahayan. He gives it off to Mogilny. Mogilny was checked in the neutral zone. The puck picked up by Team Canada. DeMaio in across the line. DeMaio on the backhand, and he's taken in against the boards, and there's going to be a penalty here against the Soviet Union. So very early with Mahayan going to the penalty box, Team Canada goes to the power play.
A very effective move. He moved DeMaio to center. He's obviously got a checking line on that number one line. That's their number one line. You and I talked about this earlier. They've scored 23 goals, the Soviets, in this tournament. This line has 11 of them. And DeMaio forced that play, absolutely forced the penalty by driving to the net, which has got to happen. You've got to make those defensemen make a commitment.
Mallihan in the penalty box for the Soviet Union, and that comes just 39 seconds into the game. From the face-off, Hoggood with a shot. It did not get through. The puck goes into the corner. Loose puck picked up by Curry. Curry trying to move out of the corner. He's in there with Fleury. Fleury battling along the boards, gets it loose to Hull. Hull back to the point. Into Jody Hull. Fleury back at the net. Fleury trying to move out right in front, and Curry just slid it past the corner. Now it's back of the net for Hull. Hull pokes it to Fleury. Back to Curry. Curry to Jody Hull. Looking back to the point. He gets it back to the line, and there's a stoppage in play with the net off its moorings.
Well, we have noticed something that I want the viewers back home to understand, and we're going to talk about that. The Soviets, when they're shorthanded, Don, play very, very aggressive. They've got some players out here that are tough NHL grinder kind of hockey players. 17 of these players on the Soviet team play in the first division. But watch, they're shorthanded. They don't give you much time to set up in the corners.
Dave Chambers makes a line change. Recchi is out there now with Brown and Graves. From the face-off, back at the line, Desjardins over to Graves. Graves back to the point to Desjardins. He dodges attack. Desjardins in front. A shot by Graves. It just goes wide. At the other point, Laniel gets it into Brown. Brown lost it along the boards, and it's dumped down the ice.
Well, you know, we've had two great chances. Curry missed the side of the net there, and then Graves. I mean, two good scoring chances, which is what we have to get. And if we get a few of those early, we're going to pop a couple.
Dumped in by Desjardins. A shot by Graves as it came off the end board, just went wide, but here come the Soviets. Fedorov in across the line. A shot doesn't get through. Vitolinьш looking for that loose puck, and it's picked up by Team Canada as Recchi has it in his own zone. 28 seconds remaining in the penalty. Canada with the power play. It's dumped in. Going into the corner is Kotlips. Up along the boards and down the ice as Chris Joseph goes back into his own zone after it.
Well, now it's just a question now that this penalty's pretty well over, and we got to regroup from it now.
Team Canada almost lost it in its own zone. Now it's Sheldon Kennedy in the neutral area. On the left side to Sakic. Sakic was looking for the front of the net, but he was tied up and couldn't get that pass away. The Soviets at full strength as Mallihan comes out of the penalty box. Chris Joseph, who is with Dave King's Olympic team, touches it for an icing call. The face-off taking place to the right of the Soviet goaltender, Shevlinov. And the puck comes back to the point to Hoggood. He fakes a shot. Hoggood moving in deep, has it taken away by Mallihan. Mallihan coming out for the Soviet national team. He was looking down ice, a long lead pass intended for Raskolko, too far, and it's an icing call against the Soviet Union.
Now, if that puck is not icing.
Ken Hitchcock, the assistant coach from Kamloops, looking on from that Canadian bench. Hoggood with a shot, knocked down, another shot, glove save by Shevlinov. Team Canada with early pressure in this game, a whistle on the play, and Apparently it was knocked down with a high stick.
And also that the referee lost sight of it when it bounced off the glove. That was another good chance. We've had a few scoring chances here, which is very important early, which adds to that adrenaline and keeps everybody on the flow. We talked earlier about stopping that long pass, and one of the ways they have to do it, all three forwards can't get caught deep down the ice on the Soviets.
Well, this is the checking line, it would appear, that is out there for the Canadian squad. It is Recchi with DiMaio and Graves, and here's DiMaio in front, of backhand shot, and the save by Sheblinov. Dumped up along the boards to Sidorov. Sidorov, a rink-wide pass. He was looking for Mogilny. Back comes Canada as it's intercepted. Recchi in across the line. He's knocked down, and the puck goes loose in the corner. Kривохижа plays it around on the boards into the center ice area. Fired back in by Team Canada, an offside call. We'll be back right after this. Play just underway again. The puck in the Soviet zone. Linden has it. He gets it back to the line. A shot knocked down in front, and the Soviets go to the attack. The pass intercepted in the center ice area by McBean. McBean dumps it back into his own zone to Joseph. It's played up along the boards, but now brought in by Alexushin, and it is offside.
You know, you mentioned something about we putting a checking line on their big line. One of the things that we're used to back home is matching lines. You'll know when you cover the playoffs in the NHL. It'll be interesting to see whether the Soviet coach gets involved in matching lines here when if our checking line is effective.
Alexei Sheblinov, who plays for the Dynamo team in Minsk, in goal for the Soviet squad. Jimmy Waite, who plays with Chicoutimi and was a draft choice of the Chicago Blackhawks, in goal for Canada. Dorofeev in the corner. He's tied up, and out comes Theron Fleury for Canada, the team captain. He plays for the Moose Jaw Warriors. Flipped into the Soviet zone. Curry couldn't control it, and Malyan in the corner dumps Theron Fleury, clears it out into the center ice area, knocked down by Jody Howe. Team Canada controlling play in this early going as Fleury comes in across the line, centers it, nobody there. Dorofeev picks it up off the end boards and brings it out into the center ice area. Jody Howe had to wait as Curry was trapped inside the line. He had been knocked down. Now it's brought out by the Soviets. Dorofeev with a long shot, deflected, picked up off the end boards by the Soviet winger. Then he is bumped in the corner by Sakic, and the Canadian team chips it down the ice.
You know, we've noticed that when the Soviets are in the offensive zone and Canada's zone, they really like to forecheck hard now. Something they took from our game, Don.
Warren Bäbe dumps it in. Going back after it is Kривохижа. He's being watched by Joe Sakic. Sheldon Kennedy with a hit along the boards. The puck comes loose. It's dumped into the corner. Kennedy, another good hit. And the Canadian team using the body effectively in their forechecking.
Oh, really are. They have played a fine game in the first few minutes of this game.
In across the line, it's flipped towards the Canadian goal by Kostичкин. It goes into the corner. Picked up there by the Soviets. They're trying to get it back to the point. Warren Bäbe pries it loose and gets it ahead to Sheldon Kennedy. Kennedy dumps it into the Soviet zone as Canada makes a line change. The Soviets come back with Mukhin coming out of his own zone, getting it up along the wing to Fedorov. He couldn't go anywhere with it as he was knocked off the puck. Desjardins plays it up on the right side to Recchi for DiMaio. DiMaio in across the line, and DiMaio is upset as the puck goes loose in the corner. 6:32 gone in this opening period. It's still scoreless in this showdown between Canada and the Soviet Union. Long lead pass into the neutral area. Mogilny circles at his own line. A clever playmaker, and he has the ability to read that ice. He has made some excellent passes into the open area in games that we have witnessed against Finland and against Sweden.
Oh, he's a what we call back home a big timer. He's a real big. There's three guys on the ice right now that the NHL would be just drooling about to have on any particular team.
17 NHL teams are represented here in the Soviet Union. Here's a lead pass in across the line for Linden. He couldn't get a shot away, and there's going to be a penalty here as Brown fed him the pass. A blast as it came back to Peterson, went high and wide. In front of the net, still loose, and finally as the Soviets touch it and dump it down the ice, the whistle goes, and Canada will have another power play.
And that's precisely what they have to do. They have to, I think if the Soviets have a weakness, it's their defense. I don't think they react very, very well, although they got some big, strong guys there. Those forwards have to go to the net, like Dimiao and these guys are doing, and force them. If the defensemen don't go with them, they're going to have to take penalties because I don't think they can stay with them. They're used to moving up the ice offensively so much and very, very effectively. We've got our second power play, but the secret is this. When you get some of those power plays done, you got to putt one or two.
Igor Malykhin, his second penalty of the game. And that is a hooking call, and that comes at 7:26. And at the moment, the referee from Sweden, B.Freddriksson, is not the most popular man with the capacity crowd here in the Luzhniki Sports Arena.
That's exactly right. The hometown crowd doesn't like those penalties.
The face-off in the Soviet zone. It comes back to the line. Hogud trying to set something up. He dumps it in back of the Soviet net. On this big ice surface, of course, a lot of room in back of the goal. Played up along the boards, intended for Dorofeev, too far for him, and it goes back into the Canadian zone. Vitolinьsh forechecking for the Soviet squad. Now Team Canada starts out, led by Chris Joseph. Pass on the right side, too far for Curry. He chases it down back of the net. Fleury is there as well. Rob Brown. Back to the point to Joseph, into Fleury. Back to Rob Brown. Both Fleury and Rob Brown have scored 3 goals in the tournament. Joseph fakes the shot, but Fleury scores!
Very patient, excellent goal right along the ice. That's the way you intimidate, too. You intimidate when you capitalize on your power plays. They get that second power play. They held the puck. They were very, very patient. Take a look over to Fleury, and he lets it go. He one-times it, as we call it, right along the ice, and it's 1-0 Canada. Important goal for us. Take a look at it again. Directly right along the ice, and as a matter of fact, if it doesn't...
Fleury, his 4th of the tournament from Chris Joseph at 8-12. Canada leading this gold medal game by a score of 1-0. Dumped in with Recchi going back after it, an icing call against the Soviet. Play again just underway, the puck in the center ice area. And the Canadian team is led by Recchi in across the line. Long shot, saved by Shevlinov. Picked up by Canada again, another shot flipped at the net. And it did not get through as Recchi took that pass in the slot. Chibirev for the Soviet squad. Fires one wide, it's loose in behind the net. Laniel has it for Canada. He plays with the Oshawa Generals. A long lead pass into the center ice area. Sackett going in. He fired it wide. The puck rolls up along the dasher, and as we pointed out in our game yesterday with the United States team, that puck sometimes has a tendency to stay up there. Hogud touches it for an icing call against the Soviet Union.
The Soviets...
Coach Dave Chambers. Jeff Hackett, the backup goaltender, and his duties on that bench to time the line shifts. They like to keep them down to about 30 seconds.
Right.
Kostичkin, a long lead pass, too far for Pantelenkov. Jimmy Wade out of the net to play it along the boards. Warren Bäbe got it loose, but they couldn't get it out. Now it is Scott McCready back of his own goal for Team Canada. 9:45 the time left or gone in this opening period. In back of the nets, Rob DeMaio lost control of it. The Soviets come back. They are led by Sidorov. Sidorov into the center ice area. He dumps it in, and the Soviets make a line change. Again, the clock here in the Soviet Union counts up to 20 minutes. Here's the shot at floor by Linden. As he came in on the left side, Trevor Linden letting that shot go, and Canada leads it 2-0.
And very effectively set up by Hogud. Hogud brought the puck up, brought it to center ice, read the play, Linden, and now your secret here, you'll take a look. We talk about the man without the puck. That's the big thing. We always are looking. Now watch Hogud. He draws the man and then flips it over. A nice little flip. Linden goes in and picks the upper corner. It's 2-0. Say goodnight. Big man, as we say there, and then slipped it over. Great play, great goal.
Zelepukin of the Soviet Union trying to break through. He was stopped at the blue line. And now the Soviets in the neutral zone, battling along the boards, trying to get it loose. But Team Canada, very aggressive and jumping on that puck much more than they did in the game against the United States or in the game against Finland. That game was a 4-all tie. They have a lot of zip in the early going of this hockey game. 10:42 gone by in the opening period. 2-0 Canada. Trevor Linden from Hoggood at 10:12. That started out as a rather harmless-looking play, but then Hoggood, when he jumped through that defense, made a beautiful pass. And as you said, Sherry, without the puck, he carried on towards the goal, enabling Linden to get that shot away. We'll be back right after this. Zelepukin with that puck in the Canadian zone. Against the good checking, he lost control of it, got it back again. It goes behind the net. They attempt to center it. There's going to be a penalty coming up here against the Canadian team. Loose puck at the side of the net, and as it's touched by Team Canada, the whistle goes.
Well, it's an interesting penalty on interference, which they call them a little closer than we're used to. We're allowed to do a little bit of interfering for the puck, but the thing about it is that we had a chance to clear the puck earlier, couldn't quite get possession to get a good clear possession to chip it out. Now we're going to look at our specialty team. Mark Laniel will go off for interference, and now it's the 5-on-4 here the other way, and our specialty teams offensively were very good, but during the tournament, Don, you'll note during the tournament, our penalty killing has been superb, to say the least.
11:29, the time of the penalty to Mark Laniel for interference. The Soviets with a long shot, that's wide, off the glass. Mukhin keeps it in. It goes back to the net. Panafilenko couldn't control it, and it's dumped down the ice by Team Canada. Team Canada in front by a score of 2-0. And wherever you're looking in on this New Year's Day, we hope you're enjoying the action. Chibirev in across the line, pass behind his back. Panafilenko couldn't get to the net as he was tied up by Scott McCready. The Soviets try again, trying to set something up. At the side of the net, they try and jam it in front, but Hoggood was there, and he gloved it ahead. He was down on his knees.
Coach for him. Good in spirit, very loyal guy. And the thing he said to us today, that as soon as he gets home, he talked to his wife, and she's going to bring him that chicken to the airport with, even if the French fries are cold.
Petrenko gets it back to the line. Alexushin, long shot deflected, and Jimmy Waite got a piece of that one. Back to the line. Katlaps with a shot. It's blocked by Fleury, and it comes out across the line. Fleury, the team captain from the Moose Jaw Warriors, has been used on these special teams and has done a great job in a penalty-killing role. Dorofeev works to the corner, back to the line to Alexushin, over to Katlaps. They slide it in, and a shot from a bad angle goes off a leg. The tallness tried to let that shot go, and then Fleury dumps it down the ice. 33 seconds remaining in the penalty. A pass intended for Dorofeev, too far for him. Chris Joseph goes after it in his own zone, couldn't get it out. It comes back to the line, is knocked away, then picked up by the Soviets. Zelepukin in the corner, back to the line to Alexushin. Fedorov with a shot right on, and the save is made by Jimmy Waite with 10 seconds left in the penalty.
That's the first shot Jimmy Waite's really been called upon, and again, it's from a bad angle. Inside, because they're very, very dangerous. Every guy on that team can shoot a puck. Let's be realistic. 17 of them wouldn't be in their NHL, what we referred to, if they couldn't.
Well, Team Canada has had some difficulties in the tournament. They have not played a consistent 60 minutes. And that's what Dave Chambers stressed to the team last night. We were privy to that meeting, that he wanted 60 minutes of hockey from them. They have had one period or two good periods in other games. They cannot afford to have just one or two good periods against the Soviets.
That's so right, Don, and as we've seen all the games, but the first one we were traveling. But I'll tell you this, they better do it today, and they've played so far that way.
Sorokin in across the line. The penalty to Laniel is over as Wayne McBean back into his own zone, gets it up along the wing to Peterson. Peterson Flips it over to Dimaiо. Dimaio in across the line. He tried to go for the net, but it was offside as Pedersen preceded him across that Soviet blue line.
I have a tough time hearing those offsides because here they're booing and they're cheering as both whistling, and I don't know if they're mentally.
The way Canada has dominated, they haven't allowed the Soviets to skate as we know they can. And, of course, playing at home, the Soviet team is under some pressure.
That's right, and I know what that's like to be under that pressure.
Well, you experienced that in Hamilton in 1986 when you lost by a score of 4-1. In across the line, Kostичкин whips that shot wide. In behind the goal now, Rassolko trying to dig it loose. It comes up along the boards, and Pedersen just chips it out into the center ice area. This is another thing that Dave Chambers stressed to the team. When you're in trouble, just chip it out. Don't try and make the play and get out of your own zone. Loose puck in the center ice area. Brought in by the Soviets. However, Christich couldn't go anywhere with it. And now Desjardins tries and gets it up along the boards for Pedersen. Pedersen having problems there getting it out. Zelepukin controls it, centers it. It comes back to Alexushin from the point, a shot, and that is blocked and deflected out into the center ice area. That was Mark Recchi who threw himself in front of that, or make that Rob Brown.
All together, they're really supporting each other. We saw Hitchcock and Jean begin there.
Sakic feeds it back to the point. Warren Bay into the corner to Sakic. Sakic back to the line to McCready. McCready dumps it into the corner. Sheldon Kennedy trying to center it. It's loose at the side of the net. Flipped up along the boards. And breaking out is Panafilenkov. In across the line, a long shot. That's gloved and dropped at the side of the net by Jimmy Waite. It comes back to the line. Nahin takes a hit there from Warren Bay.
Throughout the week, the assistants have certainly been involved.
Back into the Canadian zone. Team Canada leading by a score of 2-0. 15:35 gone by in this opening period. Canada's played a strong period. Jody Hull back of the net. Hull trying to move out, takes a shot, rebound. They jam away at it, and Curry couldn't get a stick on it as Shevlinov covered up. But Jody Hull was allowed to go in behind.
We've been in trouble sometimes throwing the puck around and losing the puck in the offensive zone in this tournament.
Jody Hull plays for Peterborough in the Ontario Hockey League. He was a Hartford Whaler draft choice, their #1 pick in 1987. Sidorov over to Mushin. Ahead to Fedorov in across the line. He has it taken away from him by Dimaio. Dimaio brings it out into the center ice area. Dimaio working again Muhin, and he is knocked off the puck. It goes loose, and the Soviets have it in their own zone. Muhin again trying to get something going for the Soviets. Fedorov takes a hit in open ice from McBean. What a good open ice hit that was by the Los Angeles Kings.
I tell you, it was stepping up, and that's that long pass. And now they got to know that there's something's going to be done. If you let these guys float and get the puck, we're in trouble.
Dumped in by Desjardins. Rassolko back into his own zone, playing it around on the boards, kept in by Pedersen. Back of the net for Linden. Linden tried to get it back to the point, but McGillney was there to pick it up for the Soviets. McGillney pokes it in across the Canadian line. Pedersen comes back into his own zone. He plays it around on the boards. Rob Brown trying to get it out. He can't. Now Desjardins goes to the other side. It's kept in at the point by Katlaps. A long shot. That's deflected wide. And at the side of the net, Jimmy Waite covers up for a whistle with 3 minutes remaining in the period.
It's interesting that McGillney, who we've talked about, by the trainer, and it won't take very much because that kid likes to play and is so involved, it doesn't matter where his helmet is.
Laniel slides it out into the center ice area. Sheldon Kennedy in across the line. He's taken out. Good check there by Sorokin. And it goes loose in the Soviet zone. Well, the Soviets are certainly capable of playing a physical game, but so far the better hits have been dished out by Team Canada. Chibirev coming in across the line. Chibirev drops it off. A shot by Panafilenkov. And that is knocked down by Jimmy Waite and steered to the corner. Canada with Warren Bay dumping it into the Soviet zone. Short shifts for this Canadian team as they make a change.
30-second time limits is their goal anyway. That's their goal.
The Soviets like that long lead pass. This time they get it away. Well, Tilnish with a shot that goes wide. Along the boards, Dan Curry plays it ahead to Theron Fleury. Here's a 2-on-1. He has Jody Hull with him. Fleury going back to the net. Fleury out front, and it bounced away from Scott McCready, who came flying in.
But that's certainly after. We got to throw that pass around a little bit and make that defenseman take a step or two.
2:03 remaining in the period. As we said, just prior to that Linden goal, the clock here counts up to 20 minutes rather than down from 20 minutes as we are accustomed to back home.
I still can't read it properly. I'm sorry, you got to do that.
In the corner, Kривохижа couldn't get it out. Curry takes that centering pass, another opportunity for Jody Hull, and Shevlinov made the save from point-blank range. The Soviets now with Vitolinьш trying to drive for the net. The puck is deflected to the corner. He picks it up again, looking back to the point, then decides to go into the corner. It's loose behind the goal, and Hoggutt has it for Canada. To Curry, he can't get out. Vitolinьš is back there, a long shot. It doesn't get through, and now Canada brings it out into the center ice area. Jody Hull dumps it in, and that line goes to the bench in the change.
What a scoring chance there to make it 3-0.
Lukin plays it over on the left side to Sidorov. Sidorov tied up by Recchi as he gets to the line. There's going to be a penalty. Recchi is going to be going off a hooking call as he tied up Sidorov, and that was a rather weak call, I think, on the part of the official from Sweden, B.Freddriksson.
Well, that's the old business about technically he's right. You know, sometimes there's a fine line between playing the NHL, if not immediately, within a very short time, the Soviets have on there for their power play now.
A minute 13 remaining in the period with Recchi in the penalty box. Canada's first goal was a power play tally by Theron Fleury. Canada's had 2 power play opportunities. This is the second for the Soviets. Sidorov in across the line. It's fired wide. Up along the boards, and it slides out into the center ice area. We're into the final minute of the period. Team Canada leading by a score of 2-0. Goals by Theron Fleury and Trevor Linden. Fleury, who plays for Moose Jaw, Linden with the Medicine Hat Tigers. A strong influence from the Medicine Hat Tigers on this Team Canada lineup. Good representation as well from the Kamloops Blazers. Sidorov in across the line to Fedorov. Mogilny in the corner, and he tried to center it. It was deflected down the ice with just 15 seconds remaining in the period. The Soviets forced back into their own zone. Malayan takes a hit in the corner from Theron Fleury. Both of them go down, and the Canadian team is going to successfully finish the period, killing off shorthanded. 48 seconds still remaining in the penalty to Mark Recchi. It comes back to Wayne McBean, and he fires it down the ice. McBean from Medicine Hat, LA's first-round draft choice. He was up with the Kings earlier this year, but it has been a little difficult for both McBean and Chris Joseph, who have been up in the NHL, because they didn't see a lot of playing time, and it took a while for them to really get adjusted, but their play has been improving steadily as they have come into this tournament through the game.
Really, it really has been.
Chris Joseph ties up his man back of the net. The puck comes loose. Mogilny now moving it along the boards. 12 seconds remaining in the penalty. Mogilny to Fedorov, back to Mogilny, but he fell, and Rob DeMaio spots an opening and fires at the length of the ice.
Rob DeMaio, very, very effective player, killing penalties on the checking line.
Here's a chance for Canada right in front, and Fleury at the side of the net didn't get the puck. The Canadian team with some forechecking stole it. Jody Hull with a shot off the post. Hull gets it to Theron Fleury, and he couldn't do anything with it. It's fired down the ice. Going back after it to touch it is Hoggutt for an ice face-off. Hoggutt in his own zone, trying to move it up along the boards, loses it. Jody Hull couldn't control it. Right into the slot area. The Soviets trying to set up for a shot. They're prevented from doing so, but they managed to keep it in as Kostitchkin flips it over to the far side. Scott McCready knocks it down, and he dumps it out into the center ice area. Canada aggressive with the forechecking as Jody Hull forces the Soviet player back into his own zone. And this was the feeling with the Canadian coaching staff, that they could force the Soviet defensemen to perhaps cough up the puck in their own zone. The reason for the stoppage in play, the puck remained stuck on the dasher. It stayed up top. And this happens rather frequently over here.
Yeah, we're not used to that because the glass isn't flush to the boards like it is back home. But Jody Hull, He's talking to himself right now. He had a second glorious scoring chance, and normally when Jody gets those, he's going to pot him.
We're 1:56 into the second period with Canada in front by a score of 2-0. Mark Laniel intercepts a pass in the center ice area, then had difficulty controlling it. The Soviets, Petrenko takes a long shot. That is blocked by Jimmy Waite. And Canada with Joe Sakic comes back. Sakic for Kennedy. Kennedy to Bäbe. And Sakic tried to slide it back to him. It went wide. Sakic gets it into the corner. To the point. Desjardins with a shot wide. Laniel racing in from the other point. Laniel centering it. It's knocked down. Goes back to the goal. Now it comes to the line. Desjardins with a shot. That's blocked by the Soviet player who came sliding way out. And the Soviets almost broke out. The Soviet player was hurt as he blocked that shot. Laniel in the center ice area has to wait for a teammate to get onside before dumping it in. Now it's in the Soviet zone. And with it is Rasolko. Rasolko gets it out to the neutral area. Picked up there by Zelepukin. Zelepukin is tied up. He couldn't do anything with it. And now Trevor Linden gets it along the boards, tried to get it out. Knocked down by the Soviets, but McBean following up on the play brings it out to center ice. 3:13 gone by in the second. Canada leading by a score of 2-0. Linden dumps it down the ice. This will produce an icing call as Mayen touches it for the Soviet Union.
No. One of the things, we get a look now at the Soviet coach, and it'll be interesting to note whether he makes some adjustments. I'm very interested to see. We talk about all the things that we've learned from the Soviets. The Soviets learned a few things from us. They dump the puck more often. They play the corners much more tougher. They use the body a lot. So, you know, this is an exchange for both clubs.
Well, this game is being viewed not only on CBC television, but on Soviet television. They anticipate an audience in the Soviet Union today of about 100 million people. And describing the game on Soviet television is Evgeny Mayorov. And I'm sure hockey fans in Canada will recall that name. He was a member of the Olympic team that won the gold medal in 1964 in Innsbruck, Austria. He and his twin brother, Boris. And Boris is currently in Canada with the Soviet select squad. A shot just goes wide of that far corner. Picked up by Hoggood. Hoggood was looking for Recchi. It was deflected and over the glass, out of play. Head coach Dave Chambers of the Canadian squad, 47 years of age, the athletic director at York University. He was telling me last night that for the last 5 years he has spent New Year's somewhere in Europe.
Well, if you're in this sport and it's played somewhere and you get involved in the game internationally, your family begins to understand that that's special to hockey coaches to be away.
Pass into the neutral zone. Curry was looking for Fleury, but it was knocked down by the Soviets. Chibirev forced back into his own zone. Now he goes rink wide. Brought in by Malayan, and a long shot that's covered up by Jimmy Waite. He had a little trouble with it. Waite was a little shaky in that. It is delicious.
You're not kidding, because that's been part of our main diet, and it is good. You know, we talked about this being the Triple Crown. You know, we've won the Canada Cup and we won the Izvestia, and there's been a lot of big name players come through this tournament.
And you're going to list the names of some of those players in due course. Here's a chance for the Soviets. Vitalnish moving out front, and Jimmy Waite makes the save. Waite stood his ground as Vitalnish cut in front of that net. Chris Joseph playing it around on the boards. It bounces to the line. The Soviet player took a kick at it, managed to keep it in, and they get another chance. Petrenko let a shot go. He put on a burst of speed as he drove for that net and let that shot go. Canada gets it out into the neutral area. It's fired back in, and it's whistled down on an offside. A close call there for Team Canada.
Well, you know, you talk about tempo. That's the biggest tempo shift, as we call, emotional shift with good, you know, Larionov, Krutov. There's a few guys that can play the game, Don.
How'd you like to go to war with that team?
Are you telling me something?
Mark Peterson in across the line is checked. Picked up by Hoggood. Hoggood over to McCready. Back to Hoggood. Long lead pass. Just too far for Rob Brown. Linden races after it in the corner. Linden was bumped. The puck goes loose, and it's fired out into the center ice area. Here's an opportunity for the Soviets as they move in 2-on-1. Glove saved by Jimmy Wade off Andrei Rasolko.
Well, if you're on a 2-on-1, if you're going to give him a chance, give it to him on the outside. And Hogland said, hey, credit. He knows that Jimmy Waite's hot. He's going right with him and supporting the team for it.
The face-off to the right of Jimmy Waite. 5:15 gone by in this second period. It's 2-0, Canada leading. From the face-off, dumped out around the boards by Desjardins. The Soviets managed to keep it in. Desjardins tries to come out the other side. Recchi, rink-wide pass to Adam Graves. Graves in across the line. What a big goal he had, short-handed, with the score tied at 2 in the contest against Czechoslovakia. That proved to be the winning goal. Theron Fleury got the clincher in that third period, but it was that short-handed tally by Graves that really inspired the Canadian team. Dumped into the Soviet zone. Graves along the boards is bumped. The puck comes loose. Mogilny and across the line. Look at the moves this fella has. He lost control of the puck and his stick at the same time. All the NHL scouts here are certainly drooling over Mogilny, but don't think he's going to be picked by anybody in June. Back to the point, and the Soviet defenseman Krevosheka had moved out of position and couldn't keep it in. Joseph fires it in. Stopped back of the net. The Soviets try and come out on the right side. Pamphelenkov gets it loose to Chibirev. Chibirev going for the net. And it's knocked off his stick. He gets it again. A backhand shot right in front, and Chris Joseph decks the Soviet player Kostitchkin, and this is going to produce a penalty.
Well, I have to see what he's going to call here and what the real call on the penalty is, because I thought he called him for high sticking when he came across on the top. And we'll have to see that on the picture again. But I'll tell you something. They have got a little bit of momentum here. We talk about momentum change. You talked about earlier that we were concerned about we're going to see it here as he comes across. He does have the stick up. The referee's on it. Now, this is an important penalty for us to kill off. You can be sure of that, because the Soviets have a little momentum here. They feel very confident emotionally, which is very important in a game.
Chris Joseph for high sticking at 6:38.
We talked about the Soviet coach getting involved. We just saw him giving direction to his team. He really does get involved in the game.
And unlike Canadian coaches, he works from the front of the bench. Back to the line. Kotlips with a blast that went over top of the net. In the corner. Dorofeev back to the line to Kotlips. Vitolinsh moving in, scores!
Well, we talked about momentum. We're going to get a look now. They feed it, they give and go, and now he takes it to the middle. We missed the poke check, and it's a great shot to Paulus right inside the post. I mean, that's picking the net. You can be sure of that. That's what we say when we say the puck has eyes. Now take a look. He makes the move here. We miss him, and now he goes to the middle and watch the inside of the post, and that had something on it. I mean, that wasn't lobbed into the net, let me tell you that. It's a 2-1 hockey game, and we've got ourselves a nail-biter.
Vitolinsh scores for the Soviet Union, and it's a 2-1 game, a power play tally. Zelepukin gets it over on the wing, in front, and steered back of the goal by Jimmy Waite. Loose puck. Zelepukin digs it out to the point. Pass intercepted by Joe Sakic. Sakic up along the boards for Canada. Canadian player, Kennedy, couldn't do anything with it. And now Zelepukin gets it ahead on the right side to Christich. Christich tried to drive for the net. He was checked there by Laniel, and back comes Canada. And the crowd with that goal by the Soviet Union on the power play has certainly come to life. Canada in the neutral area as Kennedy is decked. He loses his helmet, a hit, and then took another check from the Soviet player as he was trying to get off the ice. The Soviets now with Malayan feeding it for Mogilny. Mogilny tries to center it. It deflects, and Jimmy Waite grabs and hangs on.
Well, we've talked about it, and we were concerned about it, and let's be honest about it. Now, for the last 4 or 5 minutes, they've had to jump on us. And they've got to now discuss that. They've got to control themselves. They have to discuss it at the bench. You know, we can't get into trying to protect the 2-1 lead with a few minutes gone in the second period.
8:01 the time gone by. Mogilny back to the line to Malian. To Fedorov. Back to Malian. The Soviets have been applying the pressure here in the second period. The first period dominated by Canada, and they freeze it along the boards for a face-off. That Soviet goal, a power play tally. Vitolnish from Katlaps and Dorofeev at 6:55.
We've seen 2 power play goals here, so we know the specialty teams are fairly effective. It's a fairly late line change, and the referee has stepped in, and they'll better change in a hurry. I wouldn't be surprised to see him delay a game. I don't know whether he's just trying to get, that could be a little tactful move on behalf of the coach to get that big line of his a little bit of a rest. And
the big line remains out there. Fedorov with Mogilny and Sidorov. McBean from the face-off, back of his own goal. Up along the boards for Adam Graves. He dumps it down the ice. Fedorov, long lead pass. He was looking for Sidorov, too far for him. It's loose in the Canadian zone. And now McBean dumps it up along the boards. Racing after it is Dimeo. The Soviet player got there first. He dumped it out into the neutral area, picked up by Mark Recchi. Recchi going back to the net. He's bumped along the boards, continues battling for it. Recchi has it for Canada. Looking out front to McBean, a shot. The save by the Soviet goaltender Shevlinov on that drive by McBean along the ice.
Well, Mark Recchi is my kind of player, and he's everybody's kind of player. Each other and stuff. That's supposed to be exclusive to us. What are they doing things like that? They're not supposed to be emotional.
The face-off in the Soviet zone. The Soviets get the draw. Chibirev playing it up along the boards, but not out. Canada dumping it in. Peterson chasing in after it. He bodies the Soviet player Katlaps in his own zone, but the Soviets go to the attack now. Panafilenkov got it in, out to the line. Alexushin with a shot, and McCready dropped in front of that one. Loose puck in that Canadian zone, and it's dumped out into the neutral area. Alexushin has it again for the Soviets. 9:28 has gone by in the second period. Panafilenkov feed in on the left side for Chibirev, too far. He couldn't quite reach it as he was breaking in on the left wing. Canada in front by a score of 2-1. Canada dominated the first period. So far in the second, the Soviets have been in control.
Yes, and that's we're kind of used to that. Maybe that's in the rule book about this change in.
Chibirev with a shot that is held by Jimmy Waite for a face-off. And
those kids, they thought they had to groom, and he's got 4 goals already in this tournament, and they consider him, with his play so far this year on the Red Army team, the find of the year here in the Soviet.
And I'm sure there will be several players off this junior squad who will be accompanying the Soviet national team to Calgary for the Olympic Games in February. Jimmy Waite at the side of the net drops it off for Desjardins. Desjardins up along the boards, but they can't get it out. A blast from the point, and that's steered to the corner. The Soviets aggressive here in this second period, trying to get that tying goal. And they keep that puck in the Canadian zone. Finally, it's brought out. Desjardins in across the line for Jody Hull. Hull couldn't do anything with it. The Soviets bring it back out into the center ice area. Dorofeev for the Soviet squad. In across the line, still controlling it. Looking in front, and it just bounced away from Vitolnish, who scored the Soviet goal on the power play. Centered. It bounces back to the line. A long shot just goes wide. Vitolnish bumps into Dan Curry, and there's going to be a penalty here. The call against the Soviet player. He went after Dan Curry in the Canadian zone, and he'll be going to the penalty box.
Well, he called that penalty on the Soviets, but we had full possession. It was an elbowing penalty, and he was right on top of it, and he watched the play, and he was right in the what he called, but we had the puck. And really, we could be facing off because Jody Hull had full possession. We had a clear 3-on-2, but that's the fact is they're going to the penalty box, and we got to make our power play work right now.
Elbowing the call against Vitolinьš, 10:49 the time of the penalty. He's the man who scored the Soviet goal. He's one of 2 Latvians on the team. Yeah. Chris Joseph back of his own goal. Up on the right side for Brown. He dumps it in. Recchi races in after it. Shevlinov out of his net to play it around the glass. And the man who is doing the analysis, Jacques St. Jean. From the face-off, a shot that is steered to the corner, and it's brought back out by the Soviets. Loose puck in the neutral area as Mogilny is stopped at the Canadian line. The fans reacting. You hear that jeering and the whistling. It's Graves now for Canada. Graves dumps it in, races after it. He's bumped in there by Sorokin, plays it around to Hoggood, who pinches in from the point, having a little trouble keeping that puck in, and the Soviets bang it down the ice, but there's a whistle on the play.
Getting it in there and not getting to it.
1:12 the time remaining in the penalty to Vitolinьš. We're at 11:38 into the second period. Canada in front by a score 1. It was 2-0 Canada after 20 minutes. Back to the line, Mark Laniel. He gets the return pass, a shot, right on, he scores!
Well, what a time to take the steam, and what a way to make your power play. You can intimidate, as we said earlier, Don. You can intimidate with your power play, because then they're afraid to take penalties, and then therefore it takes them off their game. They don't be so aggressive. Again, it was a simple old rule. Watch, we get possession of the puck right over there. The forward goes over to him, and now he takes it to the middle and lets a long, low drive. And right underneath them over the line, it's 3-1. It might not be pretty, but the score's still 3-1. We get a look again. Now watch him take the puck, move to the middle. That forward's away out of position, drills it low, and the goalie doesn't make the save. It's 3-1. Get the puck on the net, it's the old story.
Well, all the folks who follow the Oshawa Generals of the Ontario Hockey League can celebrate on that one as Mark Laniel let that blast go from the point. Here come the Soviets now. A shot, a high blast that bounced off the shoulder of Jimmy Wade. Another shot from the point, and that just goes wide. Krivosheika let that shot go. The Soviets get it again. Christian, a long drive, they score! Just slip past them.
I'm not sure if when he reacted, I think he knocked the puck in the net, you'll notice. It's another low shot that we talked about. There's the save. Yes, he knocks it in with his arm. Looking for the puck, and but they all count, don't they? We'll take a look. It's a low shot from outside. He's really on the play. The puck bounces. Now he comes down. He looks for it. It's not over the line. He pushes it in with his arm.
So it's 3-2 as the puck is dumped into the Soviet zone. Curry is bumped back at the net. Dorofeev playing it up along the boards. Fleury gets there first. He shoots it in back of the net. Zelepukin gets credit for that Soviet goal. Jody Hull steals it in the neutral zone. He dumps it in. Mallihin is bumped back of the net as he plays it to the other side by Dan Curry. Jody Hull manages to keep it in as he got in behind the Soviet player Petrenko. Curry was looking in front for Theron Fleury, but the pass never got there. A long pass broken up by Hoggood. Hoggood in across the line, dumps it into the corner, but 2 Canadian players were across that Soviet blue line offside. 2 quick goals, a power play tally by Laniel from Peterson at 11:45. And then at 12:13, Zelepukin, his 4th goal of the tournament from Kristich, and it's 3-2. And we have played 13 minutes and 2 seconds of this second period. It was 2-0 Canada after the first period. Canada with 2 power play goals in this game.
Those quick returns on those goals is what kind of takes, we mention so much, and we'll say it so often because it's so important. Momentum, emotion. That's a quick way to get back in the game when you're not in it.
Chris Joseph in across the line. He dumps it to the corner. Mogilny back of his own net. He leaves it there. Stolen out front, and no Canadian player was in position to accept that pass. Fedorov in across the line. Mogilny going for the net. Fedorov was tied up. He had a stick lifted by Recchi, and Recchi brings it back for Canada. Recchi was checked. Fedorov has it for the Soviets now. To Mogilny. He tried to return it to Fedorov. He was checked by DiMaio. DiMaio in across the line. Rob DiMaio, player of the game in that win over the United States yesterday. Another penalty coming up against the Soviets. Canada already with 2 power play goals, and as it's touched by Alexushin, the whistle goes. So Canada will get another power play opportunity as referee Billy Fredrickson of...
Remember, he caused the penalty and created a penalty and an opportunity on the power play in the first period. His driving force is constantly going to the net, and sure enough, those defensemen, they had to react, and they reacted late and got the interference penalty, and give DiMaio a lot of credit for that.
Mogilny goes to the penalty box. Canada leading by a score of 3-2. Looking for another power play tally. Chris Joseph over to the far side to Hoggood. Hoggood dumps it back to the net for Brown. Brown with 3 goals in this tournament. Battling for that puck back of the net. They are rather slow on the whistles when the puck gets tied up in the skates of players, and it's brought out by the Soviets. A long shot is gloved by Jimmy Waite. He drops it off to Chris Joseph. Joseph trying to shoot it in. It hit a stick, and the Soviets dump it down the ice. 1:30 remaining in the penalty. We're at 14:24 into the second period. Here comes Greg Hoggood from Kamloops. In across the line, one of the 4 holdovers on this Canadian team. Rob Brown back of the net trying to get it out front. Hoggood is in there deep as well. Canada trying to get it back to the point, but it's knocked out into the neutral zone. And here's Vitalis going for the net. Poked away from him by Jimmy Waite. And back comes Theron Fleury, but there's going to be a penalty here against Chris Joseph.
Well, we just talked about it at the other end, about that forward going to the net and driving and making the defenseman react, and that's exactly what happened here. And, you know, it's not peculiar only to Canadian kids to drive to the net. They got some big, strong guys on this Soviet team that can skate. If there's anything we know, they're high. Now watch them keep driving and driving and driving, and therefore, the referee said Joseph had a hold of him too much.
The penalty against Chris Joseph for hooking at 14:49. 1:01 remains in the penalty to Mogilny of the Soviet squad. So the face-off will be in the Canadian zone. 3 Canadian players had been trapped back of the Soviet net, and there was nobody back in the point when that puck came loose, as Greg Hoggood had driven in deep earlier. The Soviets moving it around. Chibirev back of the net. He's upset. No penalty on the play. Pass intercepted. A clearing attempt. A blast. Glove save by Jimmy Waite.
Wow. That's the old across the ice. It's the old no-no. You don't throw those long passes across the ice, even though the Soviets like to do it sometime. They can keep it. They can keep that part of the game. They give them too much time to react, and thank God for Jimmy Waite's good reflexes, because you're going to see something here. That puck is shot like a bullet. I mean, these guys can deliver the puck when they shoot it. A long cross-ice pass, and good enough for old Jimmy Waite to come up big.
Sorokin let that shot go, and now it is Mukin dumping it into the corner. Greg Hoggood for Canada, playing it back to Scott McCready. The 2 Canadian defensemen move it around in their own zone. Chibirev forechecking for the Soviet Union.
I say old Jimmy Waite, by the way, because he's a veteran here. He's a 2-year man, you know. And besides that, I'm old and you're old, and I like to see some other guys get old.
Well, there are times over here when I've certainly felt old, and I'm sure you have as well, in the jet lag that we have experienced. Here's Mogilny out of the penalty box. The Soviets in across the line. Panafilenkov circling back to the point. A long shot knocked down. Mukin now. Back of the net. Panafilenkov trying to center it. There's going to be another penalty here against Canada. Mogilny went down in front of the Team Canada goal. And there's going to be a penalty here to Greg Hoggood. And we'll be back after this message. A slashing call against Greg Hoggood, so for 37 seconds, Canada will be 2 men short. The Soviets with a great opportunity to get the equalizer. They trail 3-2. There's the shot. It goes wide. Picked up off the end board. Back to the point. Sorokin over to Malykhin. The two of them move it around back at the blue line. Malykhin taking a look, taking a shot, knocked down in front of the net. Canada unable to clear. The Soviets back to the line. Sorokin with a shot. That's blocked in front and finally picked up by the Canadian team. And Fleury dumps it down the ice with just 3 seconds remaining in the penalty to Joseph and 1:24 in the penalty to Greg Hoggood. Canada a man short as it's brought in now by Fedorov. He leaves it there for Sidorov. Sidorov in the corner. Back to the line to Malykhin. Over to Sidorov at the side of the net. Fedorov in front. He was looking for McGillney, and it slid past him and is dumped down the ice by Canada with 1:01 remaining in the penalty to Hoggood. Long lead pass for Fedorov. Knocked down by DiMaio. He dumps it down the ice. Canada was hard pressed as the Soviets held that two-man advantage, but they were able to kill it off. Now we have 42 seconds remaining in the penalty to Joseph. Chivarev back to the line. Krivosheya feeds it into the corner. Kostitchkin back to the line. Milken fakes the shot, goes in deep. Milken back to the point. Kostitchkin moving out from the corner, trying to center it. It's blocked, and Team Canada brings it out as Desjardins dumps it down into Soviet territory with just 11 seconds remaining in the penalty to Hoggood. Canada in front by a score of 3-2. Long pass deep into the Canadian zone. Chris Joseph picks it up, and the Canadian team is back at full strength. Well, some good penalty killing there by Team Canada. They were two men short for 37 seconds. An icing call against the Canadians.
Very effective job here, though, where we're talking from, because I can't jump around on those. I've made more saves up here than Jimmy Waite, I think, every time they shoot the puck.
The Talnish is out there with Petrenko and Dorofeev for the Soviet Union. The face-off to the right of Jimmy Waite. And they'll perform that chore over again. 1 minute and 37 seconds remaining in the second period. Canada leading by a score of 3-2. Canada controlled play in the first. The Soviets have had the better of things in the second. Long shot knocked down in front of the goal. It didn't get through. Chris Joseph having some problems along the boards as he is bumped by Petrenko. Now he tries to move it out. The two players battling there, and, well, it's still in play and finally cleared.
You know, it seems like it takes an hour and a half before they blow the whistle. I think there's a rule here that if you hold the puck into the evening or the next morning, and that's something we stay away from. It's a habit of in our country to blow the whistle immediately.
Well, I said the puck was dumped down the ice, but evidently the whistle had gone, as they ruled that it had been frozen along the board. Sometimes it is a little difficult to detect the official's whistle from the whistling in the stands from the spectators. Petrenko bumped in there by Fleury. The Canadian team is having some problems in its own zone in this second period. They've had opportunities to clear in the past and have been unable to get it out, but this time it's fired down the ice, and as Alexushin touches it, it is an icing call against Canada.
Yeah, we're doing that. We're not doing things instinctively like we did in the first period, and which means, automatically. We're really too concentrating and want to be sure of everything. And hey, with the way this Soviet team can motor and the way they can read a puck, they don't give you too much time. And if you're trying to take that time, that's when you're going to get yourself in trouble.
The face-off to the left of Jimmy Waite. Zelepukin is out there with Rasolko, and Kristich from the face-off tries to slide it in front. It goes loose. Kristich back of the net. Curry moves it out along the boards into the neutral zone, and Sorokin goes back for the Soviet Union. Canada in front by a score of 3-2. We have 40 seconds remaining in the second period as Theron Fleury blocks a shot in the neutral zone. Couldn't go anywhere with it, and the Soviets go to the attack again. Long shot and the save by Jimmy Waite as it's played off the boards and down the ice. And this will be another icing call against Team Canada. We have in the Soviet Union.
They really have. They've been more than cooperative that we could ever ask for. They've been outstanding.
Adam Graves brings it in for Canada. Graves is hit in the corner. The puck goes loose. In front of the net, Robbie Brown had come racing in, and DiMaio was there as well, and that puck just slid past DiMaio as he came driving in from the point, and the horn goes to
Celsius outside. It's going to be a heck of a lot hotter in here in the next 20 minutes, I'll tell you that.
Fedorov and DiMaio in that face-off circle. DiMaio gets the draw. McBean dumps it into the Soviet zone. Malyan, long lead pass for Fedorov. Fedorov in across the Canadian line, tried to drop it back. Sidorov managed to get a stick on it and get a shot away, but the Canadian team clears it into the neutral area. The Soviets trying to pick up where they left off in the second period as they were dominating play, outshooting the Canadians by that wide margin of 17-4. Stolen by DiMaio. DiMaio in the Soviet zone, tried to get it back to the point. It went off a skate, and the Soviets bring it back. Sidorov into the center ice area is forced to turn and take it back into his own zone to Alexushin. To Chibirev. Chibirev, a rink-wide pass, knocked down by Team Canada, and Theron Fleury comes back. Fleury in across the line. Looking back to the point, it was deflected. Back out into the center ice area. Panafilenko couldn't go anywhere with it, and the Soviets try and set things up in the center ice area again. Well, that is the Soviet commentator who is covering this game on. From the face-off, back at the line, a long shot, the save by Waits. Mukhin keeps it in. Picked up in the corner by the Soviets. Dorofeev tried to go back to the line, and it bounced away, and here comes Team Canada. In across the line, Jody Hull looking in front for Dan Curry. He was tied up. Hull gets it to Fleury. He just fired it wide. Hull hung on to that puck. Here's another shot. Knocked down in front. Loose puck in front of the Soviet goal, and it's dumped out. And Dorofeev brings it back for the Soviets. To Vitolinsh. Vitolinsh with a shot. A high blast that ricochets along the dasher and out close to the blue line, but it's kept in by the Soviets. We're 2 minutes into the third period. Canada leading by a score of 3-2. Sorokin with a shot, and that hit Hoggood in front of the net. He is down and he is hurt, but there has been no whistle. And now the puck picked up by Theron Fleury, and he starts back. Still no whistle with the Canadian player Hoggood down. And finally there is a whistle.
Game number 18, played at the Olympic Arena.
Jimmy Waite, Theron Fleury, Chris Joseph, and Greg Hoggood, the holdover members of this Canadian team. Our coverage is being provided by Soviet television, and sometimes they have an unusual method of inserting their replays of the previous in Toronto.
Well, that's the different political systems. They don't stop for commercials here like we do.
Face-off in the Canadian zone. Mark Laniel for Joe Sakic. He gets it ahead to Warren Bay, but he can't get out of the zone. The Soviets applying pressure, looking for that tying goal. Jimmy Waite's got it. Christich was driving for the net, and Jimmy Waite managed to stop him.
There's enough people in front there to give him 3 yards and a second down. You'll see when there's a lot of people around. Watch him break to the net on his backhand, and Jimmy stays right with him. Right on top of them there, and that's a stoppage of play. We're talking about the Soviets when they fit their highlights in, and we go to commercials, and they don't. I've been at some hockey games where they'd be showing a lot of highlights. I mean, but the problem is if there's no highlights. You know, there've been some games that you've covered and I've been involved in our teams, there's not enough highlights to give, so it'd be pretty long pauses.
2:39, the time gone by here in the third period. McBean loses it. Fedorov sets it up, back to the line. Here's a shot just wide. Back of the net. It looked as though McGillney had flipped it in, but Jimmy Waite just managed to steer it past the corner.
Well, I'll tell you, there'll be some talking to yourself there. That Soviet team's saying right now, what do we have to do to put the puck in the net? Take a look here, he comes around. But it stopped. Give Joseph some credit to knock that puck out. But look at the open net here. And Jimmy Waite comes across. Give Jimmy Waite credit. We've got to do something now to change this momentum. Make no mistake of that, you know. And it's a big part of any team sport game. And they've got some emotion going for them now. We've got to break that and get on it.
From the face-off, Hogud bangs it around on the boards. Kept in at the point by the Soviets. Chibirev firing it wide. Canada having difficulty getting out of its own zone. The Soviets get the puck. Petrenko. It goes into the corner. Centered. Here's a chance. Saved by Jimmy Wade. Oh, what a big save as he took that off the stick of Kostitchkin. Kostitchkin takes it back into his own zone to Kravosheka, trying to set something up. It's fired deep into Canadian territory, and Jimmy Wade starts it again. Well, when Dave King's Olympic squad won the gold medal in the Izvestia tournament, they got hot goaltending from Sean Burke. Jimmy Wade is duplicating that performance for the national junior squad. Out front, backhand shot, they hit the post. Oh, Theron Fleury was in behind the goaltender Sheplinov and couldn't get a stick on it. Centering pass deflected just wide. Loose puck in the Canadian zone, played up along the boards, and Fleury gets it out to center ice. But Sorokin for the Soviet team flips it high into Canadian territory as the Soviets make a change. Mark Laniel coming back for Canada. His pass too far up on the wing. And it's fired back into the Canadian zone. Petrenko looking out front, and Dorofi fired it wide. Petrenko trying to get it back to the point. A shot deflected wide again. The Soviets all over this Canadian team. And finally, Team Canada gains possession, and it's Curry bringing it out. He shoots it into Soviet territory as Canada makes a change.
Well, we are not reacting to the puck very well at all. We are standing still. We're getting two men in too far for the puck.
Glove saved by Jimmy Wade as Christich let another blast go. Canada hanging on to a 3-2 lead. Play underway in the Canadian zone. We said this Canadian... Oh, there's a chance for the Soviets. Fedorov as he took a swipe at it. Another blast, and Jimmy Wade didn't see that as it went high over top of the net. We said that this Canadian team has been inconsistent in other games, and we're seeing more evidence of it here.
We certainly are seeing evidence of it, really. Now, the Soviets are leaving a man up, but we get the puck in their end. We literally got a 5-on-4, which I think is dumb gambling hockey.
A loose puck in that Soviet zone, stolen by Adam Graves, out to Recchi. Recchi backhand shot. Sheplinov way out of his net to knock it down. Fedorov comes back for the Soviets. The Soviets making a change. The play broken up in the neutral zone, but Nilkin coming to the line. He's hit by Rob DeMaio, and the puck goes back into the Soviet zone. Kostitchkin trying to move out of there. A loose puck, and Sheldon Kennedy couldn't win the race for it. Dumped in by Team Canada.
The opportunity because we forced the play. Some of the things that we did in the first period. We saw a pretty good check right there, but the point is that we got to remember what we were successful with doing and get back to it.
14 minutes remaining in the third period. Canada hanging on to a 3-2 lead. The second period and the early moments of this third dominated by the Canadian team. Scott McCready tying up Chibirev as the puck comes up to the line and is dumped out into the center ice area. Kostitchkin wheeling down the right side, bumped there by Sheldon Kennedy, and the Soviets are offside as Panafilenkov. In previous world competition, Canada in 1982 beat the Soviets 7-0. In 83, Canada lost by a score of 7-3, bounced back with a 5-0 win in 84, lost in 1986 4-1, that game in Hamilton, and of course last year's game did not finish. Canada with a record of 3 wins and a tie at this stage of the tournament. The Soviets with 4 wins. Canada cannot afford a tie game, really. They would have to get help from either Poland or West Germany to then win the gold medal. Puck along the boards in the Canadian zone, and it's dumped down the ice. Back after it is Alexushin. He goes rink wide to Vitolinsh, to Alexushin. Canada making a change as Fleury, Curry, and Hull head for the bench. In across the line, long shot by Christich. It goes wide. Christich has had some good scoring opportunities here in the third period, twice foiled on great saves by Jimmy Waite. Now it's Zelepukin. Rink-wide pass to Christich. Christich going for the net again. Another shot and a save by Jimmy Waite. Linden up along the right wing boards. He can't get out. Eric Desjardins goes around to the other side to Scott Laniel, I should say, Mark Laniel, and he dumped it down the ice. The Soviets again. Christich for Zelepukin, and Jimmy Waite cut down the angle, but there's been a lot of traffic in front of that Canadian net. Now it's Zelepukin taking a hit, leaving it there for Fedorov. He dodges a check. The puck along the boards, and the Soviets are winning those battles. Christich taken in against the boards by Chris Joseph, and finally they tie it up for a face-off.
Well,
3-2 is the score with 8:11 gone by in the third. The face-off to the left of Jimmy Waite in that Canadian zone. Canada in front 3-2. It was 2-0 Canada after the opening period. A strong period by Canada, and they have to get back to that style of play.
Well, you can be sure of that. There's a fan right there saying, hey, just keep it up, Soviets. It's the man without the puck that hasn't been making the play.
Wayne McBean for Recchi, a rink-wide pass. Graves nudges it ahead for DeMaio. DeMaio looking for Recchi in front of the net, couldn't get the puck to him. Recchi gets it back to the line. Joseph couldn't control it, it goes loose, and here's a chance for McGillney. Line shot saved by Jimmy Waite. Big rebound. And the Canadian team in its own zone with McBean losing the race for that puck. It's loose in that Canadian zone, and the Soviets have it again. McGillney looking out front, a deflection, and Jimmy Waite just got a piece of it. Another shot, and Waite comes up with a pad save. The Soviets all over Canada here in this third period. Canada desperately hanging on. And now the Canadian squad breaks out, led by Adam Graves. A long shot off the glass as both sides make a change. Mallihan tried to move down ice. He was checked by Kennedy. The puck goes into the Soviet zone. Pass intercepted by Warren Bäbe. Bäbe trying to center it, and the Canadian player Sheldon Kennedy in front was driven right into the Soviet goal. Chibirev sliding it to the side of the net. It goes back of the goal now. The Soviets, Panafilenkov trying to center it. He's bumped. Chibirev dumps it in back of the Canadian goal. The Soviets using their speed to advantage, winning the races for those loose pucks in the Canadian zone. A pass on the right side too far for Warren Bäbe. Now in the center ice area, picked up by Sheldon Kennedy. He dumps it in, and Canada makes another line change.
Well, really, for the last period and a half, it's Team Soviet 2, Jimmy Waite 3.
Alexushin shoots it in. A centering attempt, grabbed and held by Jimmy Waite.
You know, it's simply when we watch it, and it's easy to talk about. I've always said if they ever made a stick long enough to play from up here, I'd been in every All-Star team. But the point is that we're waiting for the puck. We're not that's what I mean about the man without the puck. We're not forcing a situation in motion to get the puck, get an opening, and let's get. Pretty good pick by Chicago, I'll tell you something. Lots be happy about their goaltending for a long time.
Canada trying to get it out. Mushkin manages to keep it in. And now the Canadian squad gets it to the line, but not out. The Soviets are on them so quickly as they try to come out of their own zone. Flipped in high and steered to the corner. Out front, and nobody in position. Now a shot by Hull. That just goes wide as it bounced off a stick. Curry along the boards, trying to get it back of the net. The Soviets bring it out. And this is Mushkin. Mushkin in across the line. For Dorofeev, he fires it wide. In the corner, Petrenko bumping with Jody Hull. Fleury is there as well. Fleury trying to move it along the boards. It's still loose. Jimmy Waite out of the net to play it back into the corner. Again, they try and move it along the boards, and finally they freeze it. We have played 11:02 of the third. Canada in front 3-2.
I know what they mean now by hanging on. Because we're playing the kind of hockey to hang on, and I'm sure, you know, it's easy to talk about, but it's tough to change when one team, they got this hometown crowd here, the Soviets, they got some emotion, they got the quickness, they got the technical skill. You add that other part to it, they're tough. We've got to try and pull out of it.
Canada 4-2 over Sweden, 4-2 over Czechoslovakia, 4-4 tie with Finland, and a 5-4 win of the United States yesterday. Loose puck in that Canadian zone. Wayne McBean goes back of his own net. Up along the boards to Linden. Linden moves it into the center ice area to Brown. Brown, a rink-wide pass for Peterson, a shot, and that is deflected wide. Sorokin and Brown battling along the boards. Linden in there as well, and Sorokin manages to come up with it. Sorokin, a long lead pass. He was looking deep for Kostичкин, and it was too far for him. Back comes Canada, knocked in by Peterson. Peterson knocked off the puck in the corner. Kotlaps, rink-wide pass. That dangerous type of pass that Sherry talked about, across his own goal. Rassalko has it knocked off his stick back into Canadian territory. Scott McCready there for Team Canada. Around the boards for Adam Graves. Graves trying to get it out. He can't. The Soviets keep it in. The Soviets moving in on goal for a shot. It doesn't get through, and it's dumped down the ice. 12:07 gone by in this third period. 3-2, Canada leading. Alexushin back in his own zone. Krivosheika, rink-wide pass looking for Mogilny. It was behind him, and Adam Graves shoots it into Soviet territory.
I think I'm going to have to recommend some shin pads for you, because I keep kicking you every time there's a play.
Here's an opportunity with Jimmy Waite way out of his net as Kostичкин was breaking in for the Soviet squad. Now it's Rob DeMaio ahead to Recchi. Recchi couldn't get a shot away. He was in just a little too deep, and it bounced away from Adam Graves with an open net facing him.
Opportunity that would be nice to capitalize, to turn that momentum that we've talked so much about here.
Here's Kostичkин again, playing it into the Canadian zone off a leg. Back of the net. Kostичkin is upset with a big hit by Greg Hoggood and Joe Sakic. And there's a whistle on the play, and we'll return right after this. Play underway again. The puck in the Soviet zone. They bring it out. Here's a good move by Kostичkin. The shot hits the side of the net. The Soviets trying to get that tying goal. It's 3-2 Canada. Canada has never trailed in this game. Canada led 2-0 after the first period. The Soviets got within one in the second, but Canada came back to move in front by a 3-1 margin and on a power play, and then very quickly the Soviets got a goal just 33 seconds after that Canadian power play tally to again move within one. But Jimmy Waite has kept this powerful Soviet junior team at bay since then.
I know we're trying to do the little things like, you know, with only 6 minutes and 17 seconds left in the game, we're starting to chip the puck and do things, but hey, that's plenty of time for this club. We got to be a little more careful and still play the game that we're successful in getting the score to be 3-2.
The face-off to the left of Jimmy Waite. A standout performance from the Chicoutimi goaltender. Hoggood unable to play it around the boards. The Soviets are there anticipating that attempt by Canada to move it out of its own zone. And now it's chipped up along the boards and out into the center ice area. Vitalnish back into his own zone to Kotlaps. Rink-wide pass to Doroфеев. Doroфеев gets away from Jody Hall. Goes around McCready to the corner, looking in front. Can't get that centering pass, and it's picked up by Curry. Curry along the boards, having difficulty getting out of there. Now Theron Fleury starts out for Canada. He has Jody Hall with him. Fleury comes to the Soviet line, dumps it in, poked into the corner by Curry. Curry puts on the brakes. He's tied up, and that results in a face-off in the Soviets. Jerry James, the coach of that team, and he was Calgary's 8th-round draft pick in 1987. Trevor Linden doing some bumping back of the goal, but the Soviets start back now. Rassalko fakes the shot in across the line, a long drive high up on the chest of Jimmy Waite. Wayne McBean to Chris Joseph. He bangs it off the boards, unable to get it out. Joseph will try it again. It is loose, kept in there. Here's a chance for the Soviets as they drive in, and the shot goes wide of the net. Finally, it's knocked out into the center ice area, and the battle continues along the boards. It's tied up in the skates of Trevor Linden. He's trying to move it. Joe Sakic is there with him, and finally the whistle goes with 15:15 gone by here in the third period.
We've mentioned it before. They certainly seem to hesitate in blowing the whistle. There's enough there for a scrum usually, and they don't blow it, but that's just a habit in international play. They want you to keep the puck in motion as much as possible. Yet, as you pointed out in this tournament, the goaltenders can come out and jump on the puck anywhere, and they'll blow the whistle right away.
The goaltenders in a couple of games have raced out into the corner of the rink to cover up the puck and freeze it for a face-off. Canada dumps it off the glass, back to the Soviet line. Sorokin has it there for the Soviets. Over to Malyan. He shoots it in. Stopped back of the Canadian net. Recchi moving up along the boards for Canada. He's played a strong game for this Canadian team, along with Rob DeMaio. DeMaio bumps with Malyan. The puck loose in the corner. Malyan starts out with it. DeMaio right on top of him. DeMaio falls, and Malyan comes out. Malyan to McGillney, to Fedorov, back to McGillney. McGillney dodges a check, comes to the line, puts himself offside. Fedorov has to wait for him to get back onside. Now Fedorov comes in, a pass to McGillney. He was taken out of the play by Adam Graves, and it's fired into the Soviet zone by Mark Leniau.
A lot of that circling and stick handling McGillney is doing right now. It looks very nice and looks pretty, but that isn't what they want. You got to drive down there and get the puck like he's doing right now.
Here he comes with a shot high off the glass, and he took a hit in the process from Jody Hull. The puck goes to the other corner. Dan Curry is upset, and he falls on top of the puck, resulting in a whistle, and we have 3 minutes. And
so highly skilled, the Soviets. That circling, they're doing too much of it right now at center ice. It looks pretty, but it's not effective. You got to get the puck in the other end and try to put the puck in. That's the secret when you're keeping score. It's not a punt, pass, and kick competition.
Well, the puck slides out into the center ice area. The Soviets bring it back. Chibirev trying to go for the net. He centers it, and just failing to deflect it was Kostitchkin. Canada gets it out into the center ice area. Fleury, who took that hit earlier and had to be helped off the ice, is out there now for Canada. And Dave Chambers going with very short shifts. We have 2 minutes and 57 seconds remaining. Vitalnish down the left side. Vitalnish. He scored the first goal, trying to center it. It comes back to the point. Here's a shot. It doesn't get through as Trevor Linden dropped in front of the blast by Krebosheka. The puck loose in the Canadian zone. The Soviets get it, a high shot. And that by Petrenko, and it goes into the corner off the shoulder of Canadian goaltender Jimmy Waite. Canada finally dumps it out into the center ice area. The Soviets, Petrenko, taken in against the boards by Chris Joseph. Dorofeev is hit by McBean. The puck loose in that Canadian zone. Cleared ahead to Adam Graves. Graves going in on the left side. Graves going for the net. A weak shot. And Shevlinov, who hasn't had a great deal of work, steered that to the corner. Dorofeev in across the line. He fans in his shot as he's being harassed by Scott McCready. Just under 2 minutes remaining in the third period. Canada leading by a 3-2 margin, but the
icing beyond the play. There's going to be specifically defensive players on the ice right now that the coach feels that he can do it with those kind of people. They've got to be very, very smart and don't do stupid things. A 3-2 win's as good as a 4-2.
McCready for Curry. Curry can't get it out. Chibirev going back of the net. Looking out front, the puck is loose. There seem to be 2 Soviet players going after every one of those loose pucks. Right in front of the net, and Jimmy Waite makes the save, and it's brought down the ice by Jody Hull. He flips it into the Soviet zone. A minute and a half remaining in the game. The Soviets trying to move it out. It's kept in by Jody Hull. Theron Fleury goes to the bench. The puck in behind the Soviet goal. Hull now goes to the bench. Rasolko for the Soviets in across the line. Rasolko trying to center it, being harassed there by Mark Recchi, and it's dumped out into the center ice area. Katlaps trying to get away from Recchi. Recchi bangs it off the boards and into the Soviet zone. We're into the final minute. Canada leading by a score of 3-2. Khatlap's out of his own zone. A long shot wide of the Canadian net. Mark Laniel playing it along the boards and down. Mark Recchi is going to move into the face-off circle against Sidorov. Recchi gets the draw. It's tied up among the skates of the players battling for it. It comes loose. The Soviets try and get a shot away, and it's dumped down the ice, and it's going to roll wide of that Canadian net. And as it's touched, another icing call with 25 seconds remaining in the period.
Well, there's certain things that you really concentrate on. It's called specialty teams. It's, you know, shorthanded and power play and things like that we know, but winning key face-offs, having the right people out there. Make sure that if one guy gets thrown out of the face-off circle, you got a second man, especially in a defensive situation. Whether you're just going to tie the face-off or try to win it, there's all these. Hey, Canada won the Canada Cup on Howard Chuck winning the face-off, and Gretzky, who's one I believe is the greatest maybe ever, he read that play immediately. As soon as he saw he won the face-off, he was gonzo magonzo, and bango, we win the Canada Cup with that play.
Face-off in the Canadian zone again. The puck goes into the corner. Graves goes in there with the Soviet player. It comes up along the boards, but not out. A blast from the point, knocked down in front. And Canada's Mark Recchi chips it off the glass into the neutral zone. Fleury with it to the net. Oh, it's wide. 9 seconds remaining in the game.
There's no question.
5-4. Canada is going to win this